Welcome back to all of my game changers and the people that are out to just make life what they want it to be. People that are looking to change their current circumstances but do it themselves. Not trying to find the savior, but become one themselves. Cavalry ain't coming, it's you, baby. No, and if you're new to this channel, subscribe and become part of that cavalry. Because if you don't do it, who will? And the answer to that is almost certainly no one. So it's not a dismal way of looking at things. We're talking about your life. I'm not talking about everyone's life, just your life. This is the Maturity Project. 8 different areas of maturity. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Today's conversation is on the greatest gift that you throw away. And you do. You throw it away. You throw it away every single time. Now, there might be a very slight chance that you're not who I'm talking to. You may not throw this thing away, this gift that is access to greatness, right? Just anybody's greatness, but really it's your greatness. You want things to happen in your life and it shows up and you throw it away. I've done it. I'm not casting dispersions upon people. I'm not throwing stones in a glass house here. I decided, though, some time ago to stop doing this. I have a legacy of doing this at this point. It's not something I just found out today, yesterday, this year, last year, the last 5 years, or 10 years. This is something that I've actually seen for quite some time. I refuse to throw these gifts away. They all contribute to my goal. My goal is a very big goal. My goal is to get the 8 areas of maturity out for humanity to have access to it. To have it in such a vehicle to teach from that more people experience a fulfilling life. It is to create heaven for every person that comes within the range of this particular education. There's a lot to that. So my goal is not what everyone else's is, but yet I will contribute as much as I can to your goals because that is access to mine. This is my method. This is how I contribute to your own success. So with that being said, the 8 areas of maturity are 1, physical body, 2, community, 3, cognitive or intelligences, 4 is emotion, 5 is finance, 6 is business, 7 is sexuality, and 8 is spirituality or purpose. Those are the 8 different areas of maturity, and each one of them have their own derivations within or subcategories within. I also refer to them typically as pillars of success for maturity. They're pillars of maturity. That will come with more visual illustrations so that it's an easier way of comprehending what I'm actually speaking about overall. Because when you're overdeveloped in one area, you typically have insecurities as well as inefficiencies in other areas or inefficiencies that lead to insecurities. And it causes an imbalance so that you're not overly functional, or you're not really that functional throughout all of what life throws at you. You just learn how to navigate the best that you can. So today's conversation is about the greatest gift. And it absolutely is the greatest gift. You can't beat this gift. This is the gift that you're told not to take. You're told to avoid. So this gift opens doors for you. This gift opens doors that I can't see. I don't have that access. I don't. It's your gift. And it's the doors it opens up is absolutely magnificent. But these things, if you don't take it, the door doesn't open. And you're taught to throw it away. You're taught to say that door needs to stay sealed shut. This gift makes the successful. It is the differentiator between the successful and the unsuccessful. It is the major differentiator. this gives the advantage or the outlook to the people that do take it. They seem like they're a different person, right? They seem like they have some sort of special gift, some like an attribute built into them genetically, or the favor of the gods, or whatever way you want to look at it. This gift gives them the advantage, and you throw it away. You avoid it. You will do everything you can not to have this gift land firmly where it belongs. You look at it as if it's the gross, disgusting thing that you shouldn't have involved in your life. This gift will truly access what you have within you. And you just keep throwing it away. Oh. This gift is the secret that is robbing you of the future that you are capable of creating. Oh. You're curious what this gift is at this point. It's challenges. It's every challenge that shows up. Every challenge that shows up is your access to the future. It is your gift. If you see it as a burden, if you see it as hardship, if you see it as anything other than a gift and an opportunity, a lesson, because lessons are gifts. Every lesson is a gift because it creates your future. It gives you new insights to see life differently. It's magnificent. And we throw it away. We throw it away because we're told to. We throw it away because somebody who seems more confident or who seems to have their things together on predominantly at this point, the majority of our influence is social media. Because somebody on social media seems to know what they're doing, seems to understand something. They may be teaching some or a total degree of naivete. If they're telling you to avoid your lessons because it hurts, because it's uncomfortable, or if they're in the vein of speaking about if you're not happy, something's wrong. You ever question why we have more than happiness as an experience of a position or emotional place in life? Value by contrast, we need it all. You have skepticism for a reason. You have cynicism for a reason. You have anger for a reason. You have pain for a reason. You have upset for a reason. You have loneliness for a reason. You have every single spectrum of emotion for a reason. But yet you're taught to focus on the feel-goods. If you aren't happy, you're in the wrong place. You need to get away. That person's toxic. God, I can't stand that one. Put it this way, the basic simplicity of it is there's very few people on this planet that are truly toxic. What it is you have exceeded your skill set to work with somebody, or you're too fucking lazy to work with the situation, and you expect to be spoon-fed what feels good. Your happiness needs to be given to you, and if you don't have it, there's a problem. And then you need to tell people that there's a problem. And then you need to enroll them that you've been victimized. All of which takes away your power. All of which takes away your ability to create. Your greatest opportunity to create is like a fucking talk show. Or you could sit around and be like, oh my God, clap your hands like a seal because this next guest is dealing with blah, blah, blah. Everybody join in the pity clap. Ugh, that almost makes me nauseous. But it's because I've been doing this for so long. I see every challenge, and I get told regularly, Chad, you're too hard on yourself. Chad, you need to be easier on yourself. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm climbing a mountain. I'm working diligently to make a difference for as many people that I have the opportunity to do so in life. My life is finite. I have an expiration date, like all of us. I'm not looking for the sofa in life. I'm not trying to sit back with my feet kicked up and saying, wow, isn't life great? Toes in the sand. Whatever the hell the idea is that's going to be the paradise, I will create my paradise by going through the hardships necessary to develop the life that I want to live. And if you can't see that, and for what you view is that I'm too hard on myself, I understand. It's coming from a caring place. But you also don't see my real goal. Hardship is your gift. Challenges are your gift. If you catch yourself saying something that diminishes that gift or makes you want to move away from it, you are robbing your own future. If it's too hard to deal with, you know what gets better with effort? Dealing with that hardship. Same thing as going to the gym. It sucks, hurts. Your body really hurts after the first couple of days. You haven't been exercising for a while. It's what's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. Well, hell, we get the same thing with our behavior change. Bombs. I'm sorry, DOBS. Delayed onset behavioral change or behavioral soreness. Yeah. The greatest gift, man, stop pushing it away. The people that are truly successful, they look for these challenges. Now, what you're witnessing with this, I'm not sitting here speaking to you from Mount on high from everyone else. I'm in the muck of it. I'm in it with everybody else. I'm in a different stage, but I'm in it with everyone else. I'm not sitting here as Tony Robbins. I'm not sitting here as any of the inspirational greats. I'm not out to be your inspirational great. That's not my path. When I speak about relationships, I've been involved in a lot of relationships in my life, and I've shared quite a few of the different expressions of relationships that I've been in throughout the video series. But my goal is different than yours. I almost guarantee it. Very unlikely your goal is the same as mine. In relationships or any category. By the way, relationship is not a single category in the maturity project, because relationships are multi-dynamic. They're not one thing. Relationships in the maturity project have a variety of things associated with them. If you're a power couple, it's all 8 areas. If you're not a power couple, but you're an experienced couple, you're just I just want to be with you, we're going to spend some time together, we're going to feel meaningful relationships, then yeah, you'll have multiples of the maturity project. The 8 areas, you'll have multiples of those that are associated with that relationship. If you're in that superficial or skin deep level, you probably have 1 area of maturity associated with that relationship. No. But hey, look, it all depends on what you want. I'm not here to tell you you're doing it right or wrong. That's not my job. If you ask me specifically if you're doing the right thing, you'll have to understand that's going to be a very, very, very large conversation. There's going to have so many details associated with that conversation, you have no idea what you're asking me. Because I'm not going to tell you you're doing the right thing. There's way too much I don't know about what you're doing. And even then, my insights, in that scenario, you might get advice. It depends on how well I actually get to know your situation. Because I'm not totally against advice. I'm just against the standardized version of advice that we all seem to be stuck with. Which is, oh yeah, I know where you're coming from. I heard what you had to say for the last 15 seconds. And my understanding of that is that you should do X, Y, and Z. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But hey, you know what? It feels good to give people advice until you have to hold it against them for not taking it. Anyway, let me not get on a diatribe about advice. But if you ask me if you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, it's going to be a very, very big conversation. There are so many details. There are so many things. But again, it's still going to be limited because, look, I haven't experienced everything in life. I've experienced what I've experienced, and I can tell you from my perspectives what I would do. But I also have different resources. I have different capacities, different attributes. I have different developments than you do. I have different ways of looking at challenges. I have so many different variations that are different from yours, not to say better or worse, just to say they're different. And if I give you the advice in that perspective, I might lead you to exhausting you or burning you with that advice. Because if it doesn't work for you, and I'm not there with the ability to understand why it didn't work for you and then help scaffold around that to give you a better outcome, I probably have done you a massive disservice, but it started off feeling really good. And you may not even associate the failure in that to me. You just may make all kinds of excuses so that it just fits better for you. So take the lesson. Challenges are your gift. Pursue the gift. It's there, and it's always there. As I've talked before about the Wheel of Fortune, which the Wheel of Fortune is always turning. It's always here. You do not need to be on another place on the planet. You don't need to have other resources available to you. You don't need to have the right time. It's now. The Wheel of Fortune is turning, and it has an opportunity for you every single second. There's a new tick to the wheel that offers you another opportunity. It's just a ticking along, just like the Wheel of Fortune. Tick, 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 tick. As it turns, it has opportunities every second of the day, every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year, and every year of your life. It's here. You just can't see it. And if you can see it, you've probably pushed off so many challenges and treated it as rubbish. You've treated it as the trash that you don't want to deal with. You've pushed so much of your lessons away, you can't access that. Because you're stuck with this idea that challenges are something to stay away from. That it doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't give you the feels that you like. It shows up as somebody who's hard to get along with, or somebody that wasn't honest with you in the past. And you don't know how to get over the fact that you feel trust has been violated because you didn't have the ability to understand what the person was going through in such a way that you could get them to be honest with you and to get them to understand you can break that pattern of lying. You can be seen for once. You can be known for once. You can truly have intimacy with me for once. Now, when I say intimacy, I don't mean sex. I mean connection. Genuine, uninterrupted connection. Unabated. Just me, man. You get a piece of it, right? I can connect with you in such a way that I get you. I understand what you're going through empathetically, not sympathetically. And I care about you, and I want to see some differences. I want to see some changes for you. You can connect with people that way. But if you punish them because they lied or they deceived you, yeah, it shows that they're probably going to do it again because we're pattern-based creatures. But you have the power to interrupt that pattern. If you leave it up to them, they may have been abandoned so many times in their life that the only thing they know is to survive. But you don't know how to quarantine properly. And if you don't know how to quarantine properly, you continue to allow resources that you have to somebody that you can't quite predict the return on that resource, and it leaves you feeling betrayed or violated because they did not give you back what you expected them to give back, and you probably never made clarity about it. You just had some sort of social norm that you associate with common sense and say, yeah, you should know better. Everybody knows this. Shame on you. Bad person. Bad, bad, bad. 50 lashings. People have been abandoned so much that they fall into narcissistic traits because they just have to survive. It's roughly 5% of the population deal with psychosis or sociopathy or psychopathy. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I study a lot. I read a lot. I love learning. It's a smaller percent than 5%, because it's supposedly like 5% of the population have the the antisocial anxiety disorder traits that categorize them into one of the three major categories of disruptive behaviors that are antisocial. And I mean disruptively antisocial that could lead to a lot of harm for other people. Machiavellianism is in that as well. I argue that it's actually genetically fewer people than 5%. But you have a lot of people that are conditioned, nurtured into becoming that way because they've been abandoned along the way. They've been abandoned because of whatever reasons. And what we typically do when we're abandoned in specific ways is we look at where other people have the good, what they love and what they liked about life, or whatever they would say I would be better off if I had this access, if I had my parents that did this, or these early authorities did this or that. And then you're like, you know what? My life would be better if I actually had those things, but I didn't. So therefore, I'm going to hold this against my early authorities, my parents, or whomever it was that was responsible for developing me in my younger years. I'll hold it against them because they didn't do something right. And you only know that because it's by contrast of somebody else that has something that you would say is right. Still doesn't mean they actually had that. That's just what you believe based off what you were told and what you observed overall. But it doesn't mean that's actually what they had. And not every family is created the same. But I will say this: if you want to disrupt a pattern, be the difference. Disrupt the pattern. It takes a lot. I'm not making it minimized and saying, oh, yeah, just simply make up your mind. It actually is simply make up your mind, but then you have to follow through with actions. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to will this into existence. It does take that, but it takes actions to follow the will. If you don't have actions to follow the will, nothing changes. You sit around and talk all day long about the things you think are better, and all you do is you're pontificating. You're not doing anything. You're teaching other people that you're a windbag. You like to talk a lot of shit just because it makes sense. If your life is a fucking ruined wasteland, yeah, that's hypocritical, man. You're going to want to avoid that. Who the hell would want to be involved with that? When you get somebody that's at conscience, has that level of awareness or conscientiousness, they can see that you don't follow through. You say one thing, but you do another. It's a congruency. It's an integrity thing. But point of it is that when lessons show up, take them on, man. Challenges show up. Learn how to make it a lesson. I've got something right here that I want. I am going this direction, and there was a bump in the road. And you know what? That bump may have been so big you needed to go around it, but it doesn't mean you didn't observe it in the process. It doesn't mean that you didn't actually learn from the whole thing, so that when you see similar patterns, lining up, you know to slow down, or you know how to change the vehicle that you're in to deal with the terrain shift. Because the goal isn't to go around everything the rest of your life. It's to go through it, but you have to understand how to go through things. So with that, stop throwing away your gift. Stop throwing away the challenge. This is the stuff that will change your life. What you witness with this channel is me taking on every challenge. And I am constantly in this work. I'm dedicated to this. This is the remainder of my life. That is my dedication at this point. I'm working with my business to continue to build and create more successful gyms for the small operations to mid-size operations in the gym industry as a consultant to build their business properly, to make it profitable and improve upon their reputation and inner functions. But I'm also this. This is actually my life. Right here, the Maturity Project. It is 8 areas that I actively and regularly develop myself in. And I've realized that along the way, I have become the challenge for people. But again, if you look at this the right way, that me being a challenge is the opportunity for their growth. You don't do something for somebody. Never just do something for somebody. You enable them when you do it. You'll create a degree of dependency. And I've experienced this myself, no matter how much I've worked on myself. When somebody does something for me and I don't actually have to do anything, there creates this desire that they'll do it again in the future. Do it with them. Now, there'll still be the fear of doing it on their own, but you've shown them a successful model of doing it as you pull yourself back and give them the responsibility of running it. That's actually referred to as scaffolding. You build it up with them. You show them how it works. You make sure that they understand it along the way. And then you start removing yourself enough that they can practice into it till they show proficiency. Then you remove yourself some more, continue to show proficiency and effectiveness and the understanding of the process, and continue to remove it until the scaffold is completely gone. And you got a beautiful standing, well solidified foundation plus building. It's all beautiful the way that it works out that way when you do it the right way. This, by the way, is also the problem with motivational speakers. They don't provide that scaffolding approach. They just they provide the endorphins worth of it, the really desirable experiences that feel good about being motivated. But motivation requires structure, to be successful. It's not just the energy to do something, because you can easily shoot yourself down the wrong direction. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but I was super excited when I got started, but now I'm like 3 months in the other direction, or in the wrong direction, and I see no progress. Then you can go through that fatigue process that actually seems to limit your ability to truly make progress. Because you fatigue yourself out, and before you know it, you stop wanting to even put in effort, because why continue to do something you know isn't successful? The other is the reality of exactly what success looks like. When you scaffold, you can show people and give them real understandings of timelines, milestones that can give them this is showing you that you are making the desirable progress. Continue to trust the process. Teaching people how to trust the process is massive. If you never take on the challenge, you will never understand the process. You can't. You'll only understand the processes that you've actually previously taken on. You cannot avoid the challenge every single time in your life. There will be times you cannot avoid it. You have to take it on. You get a court summons, you better go. Because if you don't, they're going to come get you. You don't have a whole lot of say-so in that. Probably should do it. Otherwise, you're going to learn a lesson. They're coming for you. And then they're going to be like, yeah, it was so much easier before. You just had to do this thing, show up or say something or whatever, and you're good, but you decided not to. And then they're like, you kind of got to come with us. You don't have a choice now. That's social rule and all of that. And we need that for our society in order to continue to get people to function properly and not create pandemonium and true all out unrefined anarchy. So, all right. Here's something to be careful with, and I'll close up the video here shortly. Hindsight. If you don't embrace the challenge directly and come up with a solid solution or a practice of solutions in order to come up with a solid solution, typically it's a practice of solutions in order to come up with a solid one. What we typically do is when we just think about it, but we do little to nothing, we just think about it, then we're dealing with hindsight. Well, next time I'll do this. Well, when I talk about advice, this is that. It's the curse of hindsight. The curse of hindsight is where you're like, well, you know what? I didn't actually do any of this, but I thought about it. And next time I will do it, or at least I believe that I will. But I've convinced myself of it. You're going through a similar situation I've gone through. And I have hypothesized that this would be the better outcome. But I'm going to speak with such a conviction that you are going to believe that I've gone through it. And you're going to be my experiment. Now, the person that's offering that doesn't see it that way. But the way that how you can tell that they do, and or how they themselves who have given that and tried to create an experiment in somebody else's life, how they can tell that they are doing it is this. What's your expectation of taking the advice? Because they've listened to you. Now, what's your expectation? Your expectation may be, you're going to take it. You're going to take that advice, and I'm going to want that feedback because I need to know whether or not this is viable. Now, consciously, that's not typically what you think. Subconsciously, that's what your behavior is saying. It's saying that I was not willing to take this on, but I'm willing to suggest it to you, and you can do it. And if it works out, I might do it in the future. Even then, it's not a guarantee they will. Hindsight does that to us. When you give advice, there's an expectation that advice is taken. And if they don't take it, there is typically a little bit of an emotional carryover. Sometimes that emotional carryover becomes spiteful or upsetting. Or it becomes, all right, well, I guess we're not that great of friends, or you don't value my word that much, or whatever it is. Look, there's a lot of ways to do it, but hindsight in itself without action to actually create a viable solution, which we wouldn't call that hindsight at that point anyway. It's a viable solution that's been proven that it actually works, not hypothetically created in your mind and you just convince yourself that it works. Yeah, it changes things. So here's one of the other challenges that occurs with hindsight when it comes to the gift. If you're sitting there thinking about hindsight to the application, you will convince yourself that the challenge you're dealing with has some sort of outcome that you've never practiced. But what is applicable is when you understand that there's a challenge that you've just went through and you have a different possible outcome, you immediately start practicing that. the hindsight alone is the hypothetical. It's just, you know, it's not hindsight alone. Hindsight is just the simple version. It's just all it is looking back. It's hindsight. It's looking backwards. Most people stop there. They just look backwards and then they come up with hypothetical outcomes. The applicable outcome is when you put action in. You do something about it. You go after it. That is beautiful. That creates outcome because you practice. You're practicing life. You're on the court. You're not in the stands going, I can throw that three-pointer. What's wrong with you? We're sitting at home, even worse, with a beer in hand and Cheetos going, what a loser. God damn, we're ridiculous, aren't we? Oh, man. So get into action. Do something. You know why people are successful? They take on those challenges and they make applicable opportunities because they try things out. They're testing the challenge. They're trying to find a solution. But we're in a society that says, don't do that. Don't do that. You're better off to just vent your frustration online because you get more hearts and likes and all the rest of that other crazy bullshit that we get off our social media. By the way, the more likes and hearts you get, it seems to validate your point, even if you've never practiced it. Because social media is nothing more than the stands for the majority of people. They're in the stadium, sitting in the seats, telling everybody else they do a better job playing the game. But they're not. They don't play the fucking game at all. They share memes all day long, and then their political positions, and then they just sit there and tell everybody else how they're wrong when they don't do shit for themselves either. I go through this all the time. I use social media for that reason, and damn near that reason alone. I've stopped looking at it for dating. I've stopped looking at it for any other interactions for my business in itself. I will put stuff out there for my business just so I can create more clarity and more awareness, but that's about it. I'm not getting on there going, I'm going to make myself rich from here. No, I'm on there applicably putting myself out there. I have real application with what I'm doing. I don't get on there just to scroll. I don't get on there to pass time because I'm not reading a book when I'm on the toilet. No, I'm finding out what people are dealing with and trying to come up with an actual solution for them and work through it with them. Typically, or work through it with myself, or look back at my own life and say, yeah, I've done that already. This is the outcome. No, I want action. I don't want to just sit around and pontificate about life. I'm not an armchair witness of life. I am in the game. And I want you to join me in that because this creates the movement that makes a difference. Because right now, you're not in charge of your life, almost certainly. If you're not taking action on the things that you're dealing with and taking on the challenges, you're probably not very active in your life. You're just existing. You're paying some bills. You're doing some, you know, the minimal to get by. My genitals need to be touched. So I'm going to go find a relationship because that's kind of what a lot of people do. I feel lonely. I get validation when somebody touches my dangly bits. And then they go and they find somebody to touch their dangly bits. Like, all right, I'm good. I don't need any more work on emotion and relationships. I'm good. And then when they go to sleep and they're alone, they're lonely. Then they have to deal with that loneliness. And then they're like, what are you up to? What is that? Shit. Was that WYT? Or WYD or whatever. What are you doing? Yeah, when you get those, you're like, yeah, pretty good chance I know what you're asking for. Not to say it's a guarantee, but look, I've dealt with the dating life for long enough in my adult life. I could definitely say I've received some interesting and fun texts, but at the same time, I want meaningful and all the rest of that shit. I'm just not interested. So sorry if anyone in here has been trying to reach me like that for any period of time in my past. Yeah, meaningful, please. That's all I'm interested in, and I've got an amazing relationship with my son and his mother. So, yeah. No. Anyway, so what does a social influence do to you? Now, let's just talk just quickly about this term. I mentioned it earlier. It's toxic. The whole hooked on happy thing, all the rest of that. Here's the thing. Whenever you tell me that something's toxic, I understand you have limitations in your abilities to deal with a certain situation. And if you're unwilling to take on that challenge, you're willing to give somebody a label, and you're willing to put them into a category that is to be isolated or quarantined. And then you wonder why you can't find meaningful relationships. You're looking for that lottery winning opportunity. Well, I can tell you right now, things are getting worse, not better. If you're not the interrupter, if you don't create the intervention in the relationship and dating world, because so much of this shit's about dating anymore when it comes to, it's either dating or politics, damn near almost exclusively, with some gem picks and stuff. But a lot of that is to lead people into the dating direction. I'm going to be a fitness influencer until I find a sugar daddy or sugar mama. Not a lot of money in that category, folks, because it's the basic economics. It's saturated. And just because you can set up a camera at the gym doesn't mean anybody gives a damn. Just because you can do a rep of some sort doesn't mean you're doing it right, and nor does it mean that anybody gives a damn. And if they do typically show up and like what you're doing and all of that, they're probably doing it because of the aforementioned reasons, and not because you're actually a fitness influencer. You're just an opportunity. So it's saturated, folks. Don't be the crowd. Be an individual. Stand out. So, toxic. If you don't have the ability to actually work with and help break somebody free of those challenges, when it comes to people that truly fall into the category of unresolvable, toxic, no, those are going to be a very, very, very small percentage of people on the planet. There's not that many of them. The majority of the people that you're labeling that way have just dealt with challenges. They've gone through some things and they've been abandoned. I'm not telling you to open up your door and to just give away everything. I'm not one of those lunatics. It's like, oh, you value your things more than you value the burglar's life. I can tell you right now, I love people, but if you break into my home, you're probably going to leave in a body bag. No, because I do value my safety over your need to survive over my possessions. So let's make sure that's very clear. Okay? God damn. How fucking ridiculous have we gotten? Anyway, all right. Toxic. That basically tells me where you are with your own maturity when you start labeling people that way. There are those that truly do need professional help and it exceeds your abilities. And there's other people that are going through a hard time. They've gone through some challenges. You just may not be aware of what they're going through or have the ability to truly help them, but you also likely haven't connected with them either. You've probably only connected with them in a category of connection that is partial to who they are as a whole. And because you don't know who they are as a whole, you're left with, this person is bad. This person needs to be removed from my life. For every single person that's going around labeling somebody toxic, I can promise you there's fingers pointing back at them saying you're toxic. It is a fucking lunatic position. There are people that need help. You just don't know how many people are putting that red tea on you. The red tea, toxic. Because the weaker you are, the more people appear to be toxic. Keep going down that path and everybody's going to look like it. And before you know it, you're going to be fucking Chicken Little running around telling everybody the sky's falling because everybody is a horrible piece of shit. My God, people. If we don't wake up and start being responsible for who we are as a whole so that we can start supporting other people, we're going to be in a real, real tough world. And the people that have manipulated this and put this into position, not to say necessarily there's some sort of cabal of people that have made this like their mastermind thing where they're twiddling their fingers like Dr. Evil or some shit. I'm not saying that about them. But it doesn't mean that there still aren't people with interest that keep you ignorant. The Maturity Project is about dispelling ignorance. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfection anyway. I'm perfect because I am who I am based off all the decisions I've ever made in my life, and I'm the conclusion of those. But I'm flawed. I'm flawed perfect, if you will. But I'm not perfection. I'm not at the top of the freaking mound. I'm not none of that, and I never will be. Because perfection is an infection. It's designed to get you to do something that you're not currently doing for somebody else's benefit. So, but you are perfect for where you are because you've achieved this much in your life. Now, if you're happy with it, great, stick with it. If not, there's things you need to change. And you cannot hold the old model because nothing changes if nothing changes. It's time to grow up. The Maturity Project's all about that. Let's grow up. Let's grow up together. Look, I do this because I love you. Also, I've realized that a lot of you need a good, solid father in your life. Because I can't tell you how many people have gotten so damn soft that going to get the mail turns into something worthy of going on social media to talk about. You're that bored in your life? You're that disappointed in your own outcome to what you're going through in life that you need to get people to give you a attaboy or an attagirl for going to the fucking mailbox to go get the shit out that you need to go pay your bills? Like, what the hell has happened to us? That's why I do this. Because we need to have solid guides in this life. Plus, hey, I'm looking for my own. I'm not at the end of my goals. I'm in the process. I'm finding mentors as well. I read a new discipline that I've taken on. I read no less than 5 pages every single night of the book that I need to read from. And I have assigned these books that are there to continue my progress. By the way, 5 pages until I get to the point is I read all the damn time. And I have read for a long time, but I've fallen off for a period of time that now I actually get reading fatigue much sooner than I used to. I used to be able to read several chapters before I would get reading fatigue. Now I'm getting about 6 pages and then I start to get reading fatigue, and it's not, I don't want to task read. I want to read for retention. So I don't read as much. I read fewer pages because I'm building that exercise and building that strength back up so my attention stays with it longer. No, every night before bed, that's a requirement of mine. Company or no, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if I'm with my son's mother and him, with my son. It doesn't matter if I'm home alone. It doesn't matter. I'm reading. Because it's a commitment that I have, because nothing changes if nothing changes. So put things in action. Take the challenges, because that's your gift. And when you can embrace those challenges and welcome them, look, it's not going to feel good because your challenge is pushing against something you're comfortable with. And that thing you're comfortable with is probably not the thing that'll make you successful. It's the thing that'll give you the justification to prove to other people that you've done the right things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you haven't made progress toward your goal. But you've worked on the spectators. You've got your mascot side going. You got everybody else fired up because you're sitting there doing the mascot work, which is just telling people that I am going to do this and blah, blah, blah. That's what mascots do. They get people fired up and going. But the players are the reason why people showed up, not the mascot. Have both. Say something and do something. Be in integrity. Put them together. Fantastic. Get the crowd going. And if you need that as your commitment to do something else, then fantastic. But I don't advise doing that today unless you're well accustomed to delivering results on the low level first. Excuse me. Good Lord. On the low level first, the micro. Start delivering for yourself. Make small commitments that you can do that are not going to exceed your exhaustion level so that you don't go too far into fatigue. Because the further you go into fatigue, the less you retain. And the more likely you are to not want to do it again. So get it to the point that you can get, okay, like for me, 5 pages every night. I've been reading 6. Why? Because I got to push it a little bit, right? And I missed one day. And with that, I owe myself those 5 pages from that day. Well, tonight's the last night. Back on it tomorrow, but I'm not likely going to go to 5 pages tomorrow. I'm likely to keep it at 6 because it's retention. I have it. It's there. Not a big deal. So, same thing. I'm also pacing myself. How long does it take to read 6 pages? All right. Well, my goal is to read faster, but retain, understand, comprehend, not speed read. I'm not grazing it. I'm wanting to consume it. Same thing. You pick for you. Practice now. Put things into practice. Create and put together a challenge journal. Whatever shows up regularly. You got so used to your challenges, you don't even realize when you're dealing with them other than just trying to figure out how to move away from them because you're so used to it. It's a habit. Shows up, moves along. Shows up, moves along. Shows up, moves along. You can do something different, and this is your opportunity. Let's do something great, okay? I'm Chad Everett Broshears. I'm the host of The Maturity Project. Share this video with the person in your life you want to make a difference with. Start a meaningful conversation. You're not going to do this life alone. So let's do it with people that understand you're up to something and also want to be up to something too. It creates a hell of a bond. So share this video with those people. Subscribe if you haven't already. There's a commitment to subscribing, and that is the commitment to making change in your life. Even if it's small in the beginning, a little is better than nothing. 1% on a daily basis will change your life forever. Join me in the process, okay? I took this on a long time ago, 1% on a daily basis. Every day, 1%. I'm growing all the time, and I want to share that with you. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, help with the algorithm, and then for the community purposes of this, put a comment in the comment section. Throw it out there, man. You're doing something, you're experiencing something. Get it out there so other people can also get some benefit out of it as well. They love being inspired, and I promise you, people are reading the comments. I get that back from some of my listeners. They tell me, I have read comments, and they'll send me personal messages, and I'm telling you, the people I'm talking about right now, I'm talking to you. Start commenting in the comment section. Don't just send me a text, okay? Send it out there, man. Be supportive of the other people involved. We will make a difference because we stand to. 8 areas of maturity. Let's grow together, okay? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. The people that have made this challenge for us, they started off with good intentions too, most of them, nearly all of them. It's just things happened along the way and they needed to survive, and they had to shift to the survival mode, and that turned it into the path to hell. Now, we can be the interrupters. We can be the intervention. Work with me on that, okay? Let's get up to something. Let's get up to life. Let's go.